In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make this gorgeous beanie, the Prim Beanie. This is available in 8 sizes, ranging from 3 to 6 months right through to adult large. I am using Caron Simply Soft for this pattern and Simply Soft Tweeds. It's a really lovely Aran weight yarn. In terms of yarn quantities, go ahead and check the description out. There's a link to the blog post where you can get this pattern for free, and also the link to the premium PDF pattern if you wish to upgrade. For this pattern, you're going to need 2 crochet hooks. I am using a 4.5mm and a 5mm crochet hook. You're going to need a pair of scissors and a darning needle for sewing in your ends. A stitch marker will come in handy, and you'll also need a tape measure as well. So as I say, make sure you check in that description box for any additional things that you might need. Go ahead, grab your crochet hooks and let's get started. In this video, I'm going to be doing the toddler size, but as I say, go ahead and check out the written pattern for the additional sizing. So we're going to begin by creating our slip knots. You can do that in whichever method you prefer. And go ahead and insert the 4.5mm crochet hook. And we're going to start off by making a chain. So for me, my chain is going to be 21. So it's yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, that's 2, yarn over, pull through, that's 3, 4 and 5. Go ahead, pause the video, work the chain you need, and then meet me back once you're ready. So I now have my chain of 20. I'm going to go ahead and work row 1. So for row 1, we're going to work into the second chain from the hook, not the one that's on the hook. We have 1 and 2. And we're going to work a UK double crochet, which is a US single crochet. So we're going to go into the chain, yarn over and pull through. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. That's 1. Into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook, and you're just going to do 1 double crochet, US single crochet, in each stitch all the way across the chain. Once you've done all these stitches, you will have a stitch count of 1 less than what your chain was. So my chain was 21. We worked into the second chain from the hook. The missed chains do not count as a stitch. And then after I've worked into every chain, I am left with 20 double crochets, which is US single crochet. So I'll continue to work across my chain until I have my 20 stitches. So work all the way to the end. And then we're going to move on to row 2. So we're going to turn our work and then chain 1. This chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch here or throughout our work. And we're going to work a double crochet in each stitch all the way across, which is US single crochet, but we're going to be working into the back loop only. So we're not going to work into the full stitch like this, just into the back loop. So into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through 2. So just working into that back loop only, and you'll have the same amount of stitches from your row 1. So go ahead, pause the video, work your way all the way across, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now once you've worked your way across, you're going to repeat row 2 for the amount of rows instructed. So you'll just chain 1, turn the work, and then work a back loop only double crochet, which is US single crochet, all the way across. So for this, the row count will range from 57 from the smallest size right up through to 96 to the largest size. But if I just bring this over here, I'll just show you how the best way to easily count your rows. So when you create this stitch, you're going to be creating this ridge, and you'll find that you have 1 row that is protruding forwards and then 1 row that is sitting back. So we have 1 row and then a second row. So if it's like this, for example, it sits back and then it sits forwards, and then if it's like this, you've got 1 that sits forward and sits back. So whatever you start on, whichever way you've got your work facing you, if it's sitting back, then you can count 1, and then the 2 is the one that sits forward. If I have it like this is the right way round. So say you start on a row that sits back, you know that the row that sits forward is 2, so you can go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Or if you have it the other way round and it starts with the row sitting forward, you know that the one sitting backwards is your second row, so you can go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that's an easy way to keep track of your the rows that you're doing. So go ahead, pause the video, repeat row 2 until you have the rows that you need, and then meet me back once you're ready. So once you've finished all of your rows, you'll have this long thin piece, and you want to go ahead and just check your sizing at this point. So you want to give it a little bit of a pull just to pull those rows apart, and then I'm going to measure mine. Mine should be around 16 inches, which is pretty much spot on. If you need to just give it a gentle stretch to make sure it fits that size, then that is absolutely fine. Because it's a beanie, it's designed with negative ease, so it's designed to be a bit tighter on the head anyway. But if you need to, for any reason, you want to increase or decrease this pattern, you can do so by adding or taking off in multiples of 3. So if you wanted it to be a tiny bit bigger, you could add 3 more rows, for example. But for mine is the toddler size, so that needs to measure 16 inches. Go ahead and look at the pattern on the blog or in your PDF pattern for the sizing for yours. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to join this to create the band. We're going to be using the 4.5mm still at this point. And you want to fold the short sides together like so. So folding those short sides together, we're now going to go ahead and join these stitches. So we're going to start off by chaining 1, and then we're going to slip stitch through the back loop only of each stitch. So the back loop only of that first stitch and the corresponding stitch on the underside of the beginning chain. So we can see the chain here, and this is the stitch. So we're going to work into that stitch and slip stitch through both thicknesses. Again, find the back loop only of the next stitch and then the underside of the chain of the corresponding stitch, yarn over and pull through for a slip stitch. And you're going to do this all the way across until you come to the end of the row. So go ahead, pause the video, slip stitch your way across in the back loop only and the corresponding stitch on the underside of the chain, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now that you've joined, you have your seam here. On some patterns you need to turn so that the seam's on the inside. On this particular pattern, we don't need to because this is actually going to be folded over, so the seam's going to be on this inside as it is. So leave your seam to the outside. And what we're going to do now is we'll rotate our work to work along these row ends. So for your row ends, it's important to remember that we have a stitch or a row standing forward and then a row sitting backwards. So that's what we're going to be working into as we do this first round. So we're moving on to the main hat section now. We're still going to be using our 4.5mm crochet hook at this point. We're going to go ahead and chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, as we said for the beginning. And we're going to do 1 double crochet into that first stitch. So we're going to find that first row, and the row end is just here. So we'll work 1 double crochet into there, which is a US single crochet, and then we'll find the next row end, which is just here, and then work a double crochet, US single crochet in there. And we're going to do this all the way around, so just placing 1 stitch into each row end and work all the way around. If you need to, you can mark your very first stitch. But you want to go ahead, pause the video, work your way around, count the amount of stitches that you have, because it is going to be important that you have the correct amount. For my particular pattern, I'm going to have 75 stitches. So go ahead, pause the video, work your way around to your last stitch, and then meet me back once you're ready. So I've just worked my way around. I have my 75 stitches, which is the same amount of rows that I have, so that is correct. And then I'm going to find my first stitch. I'm going to go ahead and join with a slip stitch into that very first stitch. Now at this point we do want to change to our 5mm hook or your larger hook and pop that in. And we're going to be working in rounds without turning our work. So we're going to begin round 2 by chaining 1. Again, this does not count as a stitch. And we're going to be working a double crochet, a chain 2 and a double crochet into this first stitch, which is a single crochet, chain 2 and a single crochet in US terms. So this doesn't count as a stitch, and this is our very first stitch, so it's the base of where we have joined. So we'll go into that first stitch with a double crochet, a chain 2 and a double crochet all into that same stitch. Again, you can mark that first stitch with a stitch marker if you wish. So we just go into that first stitch, and then we're going to start a pattern repeat. So we're going to skip 2 stitches, and then into the next stitch we're going to do a double crochet, a chain 2 and a double crochet. Miss 2 stitches, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, which of course is single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in US terms. So we're just going to do that pattern repeat all the way around. So skip 2 chains, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. That's as simple as the pattern repeat gets. So we're going to do that all the way around, and you'll finish with 2 stitches remaining. So go ahead, pause the video, work that round, and then meet me back once you're ready. So once you've worked your way around, you should have 2 chains remaining. Just remember that the one that does look like a chain just here, which is the stitch before your first stitch, that is a chain 1. And if you pull out here, you also have what looks like a tiny stitch, that is your slip stitch. So we have 1, 2 stitches. These 2 can be disregarded, but we've worked our way around. We have 2 stitches remaining, and we can go ahead and join with a slip stitch into that first stitch. So into that double crochet, you a single crochet, and then we're ready to move on to round 3. Now we're going to start off round 3 with a slip stitch just so that we can move into the right place. So we want to find the chain 2 space, which is just here. So we have our first stitch, the chain 2 space is just here, and we're going to slip stitch into that stitch. And that just gets us into the right position to start our round. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. This is going to count as a treble crochet, which is a US double crochet. And then we're going to work 2 more treble crochets, US double crochets into this stitch. So yarn over, insert into that stitch, yarn over and pull through. You'll have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, and then yarn over, pull through those last 2 loops on the hook. So that's 1, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, you'll have 2 loops on the hook, and yarn over, pull through those last 2 loops on the hook. So that chain 3 counts as a stitch. We have 3 treble crochets, US double crochets in that chain 2 space. Then we have a pattern repeat. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, which are actually the double crochets, and the easiest thing to do is just look for your next chain 2 space. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that next chain 2 space, and complete a treble crochet, US double crochet, 1, and we're going to do 2 more, 2 and 3. So we have 3 treble crochets in that chain 2 space, and this is essentially what we're going to do all the way around. So we're going to work 3 trebles, which is 3 US doubles, into each chain 2 space all the way around. So go ahead, pause the video, work those stitches all the way around until your last chain 2 space, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now you've worked your way around, you've done your last 3 stitches in that chain 2 space. We're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that chain 3, like so, and then we're going to move on to round 4. So for round 4, we're not going to start off with a chain. We're going to skip this first stitch, which is the chain 3 space, and then we're going to work into the next stitch. So essentially, we're working into the middle of the 3 stitches, and we're going to do the same as what we did previously. We're going to do a double crochet, a chain 2, and a double crochet, which is single, chain 2, single in US terms, in this stitch. So we're going to go into that first stitch and work a double crochet. You can pop your stitch marker in if you wish, just helps to know where you've started. Chain 2 and double crochet into that next stitch. And then the pattern repeat is skip 2 stitches and then work a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into that next stitch. Again, you're looking out for the middle stitch of your 3 treble crochets. So double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, which is single, 2, chain 2, single in US, and then skipping 2 stitches, finding that central stitch and working that double, chain 2, double. Skip 2 stitches, double, chain 2, double crochet. And you're going to do this all the way around until you have worked into your last set of 3 trebles, and then meet me back once you're ready. So once you've worked your way round, you're going to join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. And then you're ready to continue on to build the rows that are needed for you. So for me, I'm going to now do rounds 5 through to 12 to build the height. So please refer to the pattern for the instructed amount for the size that you're working, but we're going to repeat row 3 and 4. So for example, row 3, we are going to start off by slip stitching to that chain 2 space, chaining 3, and then working 2 more trebles into that same chain 2 space. So it's a really easy pattern repeat. So go ahead, pause the video, work your rounds until the instructions say 2. So as I say, for me, for the toddler size, it's to round 12, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now that you've completed all your rounds with that pattern repeat, we're going to just do round 3 one more time. So round 3 is where we slip stitch over, chain 3, and work 2 treble crochets, which are double crochets in US terms, into each of the stitches. So your 3 trebles into each of the chain 1s. So go ahead, pause the video, work that final round, and then meet me back and I'll show you how to do the final round. So now we're ready to do our final round. We're going to begin by doing a beginning treble crochet 3 together, which is a beginning double crochet 3 together in US terms. So the beginning stitch of this is slightly different because we're going to need to start off with a chain. So to do this, we're going to start off with a chain 2, which counts as the first leg or the first stitch of the treble 3 together. And then we're going to yarn over, insert into that next stitch, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and we're not going to finish off that treble crochet. We're going to yarn over, go into that next stitch, so this is the 3rd of our stitches, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, you'll have 3 loops on the hook, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook, and then we have 3 treble crochets into 1 stitch. And if you want to, you can mark that first stitch with a stitch marker. Now we're going to do a treble crochet 3 together, which is a double crochet 3 together all the way around. So all of these 3 stitches, the groups of 3, we're going to turn into 1 stitch, and that's so that we can reduce the amount of stitches in this final round, and it just helps when we come to pull tight and close up that hole. So from here we're going to yarn over, insert into that next stitch, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, and we've got 2 loops. Yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and you'll have 3 loops. And then yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and you'll have 4 loops. And then yarn over, pull through all 4 loops on the hook, and we've combined those 3 stitches into 1. And you're just going to do this treble crochet 3 together all the way around until you meet yourself at the beginning. So go ahead, pause the video, work these treble crochet 3 together all the way around, and then meet me back once you're ready. So once you've worked your way round, you should find that that is starting to bring in the work. We're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of that beginning treble crochet 3 together. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through, and you're going to fasten off, leaving a long tail end, like so. Then what we're going to do is we're going to turn the work inside out, and then take your darning needle, thread that up, and we're going to weave in and out of every stitch. So here's our first stitch. We're going to go one way and then back the other. You can do this a few at a time if you prefer, but we're simply going to weave in and out all the way round. Don't worry about pulling it in too much, but you can just give it a gentle pull. We can gather this up more as we go round. In and out all the way round. And I like to go back through that first one. Now at this point you want to give it a pull so that we're closing up that circle, and then what you might want to do is just go through all thicknesses to the opposite side and then back through again to the opposite side, and this just helps to close that center circle. You can also go from one side to the other as well in like an X. But now what we want to do is we want to attach the pom-pom. The way that I like to do this is to take a crochet hook and go through the center, and then I'm going to take the pom-pom. This has got a loop on here, so that's why I'm pulling this through. I would suggest to try and pull through this loop as much as you can, because, oh, I've lost it. And pull through. You want to try and pull that through as much as you can, so that the pom-pom is nice and secure. And I'm just going to thread my yarn through there, and then I'm going to sew this on. Now you can get pom-poms which have buttons on, which are good for when you want to wash your beanie so that you can detach, but I'm just using this one for now. So sewing that on nice and securely, and then I'm going to fasten that with a knot and another knot, And then I'm going to weave in my ends. So just weaving in and out of the stitches one way, and then back the other way, and then I like to use the rule of 3, so go back the other way, fasten off, and turn out the correct way. Now I'm just going to go ahead and sew this one in. And then you can fold the band over. Now if you're making the smaller sizes especially, I would recommend that you just pop a couple of stitches around to secure the band, the brim of the hat, so that when a smaller child is wearing them, it's not going to open up and go over their face. So just as a little safety, you can pop some stitches around just to hold that into place. But this is the toddler size, this is the smallest size, and then this is the adult. So there is the Prim Beanie. It has really gorgeous texture. I really hope you enjoyed making this, and if you like this video, you might also like this one too.